I love you.
Get to the roof.
The cast is really important to the movie and to Michael. And Mike is really responsive to them as a group of actors, and I think that elevates the film.
I think we've had good fortune in this franchise to have some really talented actors come and play with robots and dinosaurs and cars.
A new era has begun.
Oh my God!
This is not war. It's human extinction.
I think our cars are not just cars. They are characters in the movie. And when people see the Autobots lined up in the street, it's different than 5 cars. They are 5 characters, and they are the Autobots. So, you know, people get excited about it. They want to have their picture taken, and it's a big deal. We pull from the Hasbro library, you know, the rich list of characters that they have.
And there's an infinite supply of Transformer characters. I mean, it's amazing. And the mythology is so many of them.
Then you start calling up the car companies and opening it up a little bit and see who's interested in participating. And in this case, you know, we've had a great response. One of the things that we always try to do is give the vehicles sort of a facelift, if you will. Optimus, you know, has had some tweaks in the first 3 films, but on this movie, he got a complete overhaul with Daimler and Western Star. So he's a brand new vehicle altogether this time.
The Western Star is a custom build from almost every detail all the way up. I think the only piece that would be common to a production Western Star is the door panel and the beginning of the sleeper cab. Everything else that you're seeing, from the hood to the bump to the grille to the bumper to the rocker panels to the fenders, is all custom for our show. And the flames was a very exciting part of the design process. Number one, how do we begin with, as a departure, the flames that we've looked at for the last 3 movies and create something that's wholly new and fresh for the project, but also brings us back to and has a dialogue with some of the design cues from the old Optimus, so you still knew that we were looking at the same character. I did the initial concept work for the flames. That was then handed to an artist that was working with the Daimler group to refine those flames. And then we worked with a painter who had laid out his first stripe job on a hot rod in 1962 and has been in paint booths painting hot rods out of Southern California ever since. But I think my favorite aspect of this truck in particular is the stance from the nose and how we were to develop in the face of the car a truck rendition of the Optimus Prime robot. The headlights are completely custom built. The hood ornament is a complete custom build. The sheet metal visor and the tightness of the windscreen just really pulls the entire vehicle together and makes it a very mean, very aggressive, but also very recognizable character for the feature.
Want to hook these wires back to a working battery?
And then they have the hiding Optimus, which was an old Marmon truck, which they couldn't make it in 1993, which is like the coolest old square truck. You can't go with the conventional long nose because he's hiding. So he's got to be a little bit different.
So he's kind of done a chameleon effect and made himself look really old, decrepit, so he's not looking like he usually does. So people wouldn't even think of him hiding because it's just an old truck. And so we're making it look old and rusted, like it's been there a long, long time. It's been a really fun project. You don't get something like this very often.
I drove the old beat-up Optimus on our first day of shooting out in Utah. I was driving that one. Was pretty cool. Because they were like, you can't drive the truck. I said, dude, my dad was a Teamster, drive a double clutch 13 speed. So, you know, I used to sit on his lap when I was 12 years old and drive like this. You know, he'd let me hold the wheel. So that was pretty cool.
The Optimus Prime trucks take their design cues from the hot rod world, from the trucking world. For the Galvatron project, we looked more towards the industrial design world to create a clean look that we would expect from a high-end robotics company such as KSI. The base model for the truck is an Australian market Freightliner Argosy. It's very, very different from the Optimus Prime Western Star, in which it's a cab-over designed for the Australian or European markets. That truck is over height for American roads, which establishes its large nature appropriate to the character Galvatron for the film. And with any of the robot vehicles, there's a constant dialogue with Michael with regards to the personality of the vehicle. Michael's cue to the designers was constantly to make it meaner, to make it stronger. The designer Jeffrey Beecroft's input was to make it continuously more high-tech, more clean-lined, and appropriate to a very contemporary product design market. In the same sense that the robots are distinct and individual characters within the project, we have pushed and developed and ideated the design of the trucks to be personalities in and amongst themselves.
I think the general idea is to concentrate on a freshness. So Bumblebee is redesigned.
We took a Chevrolet Camaro Super Sport. We took the whole front end off of it. We cut the whole back end off of it. We made a whole new front end and a whole new back end. This vehicle has the hood on it because we're still pre-fitting all of the gaps and everything else to make sure that those are factory. This is one of the ways that we block out, and we know how far to go, is they'll put a surface coat on it, and then they sand through, and when all of that is gone, they know that they've reached the primer and it's smooth. So that's what he's doing now. There's a lot of effort and heart and soul that go into each of the vehicles that we make. When all is said and done, this car will probably have around 3,000 hours in it. The color and the overall paint scheme is a lot different as well. This is a candy colored, so it's very difficult to match the paint. So if you scratch or dent a door, you're doing the whole side, which is different than before. Before it was a metallic, now it's a candy. It's a 3-stage, so you have your base color, your candy, and then your clear coat over the top. The rear end is much wider and much more aggressive than the previous models. It also has a more aggressive rear spoiler. And then the front headlights are significantly different. They're much more narrow, kind of giving the vehicle more character. The hood, the roof, and the back all get stripes, and then the whole vehicle in general is a lot more aggressive from a styling standpoint.
Cut.
It's a Michael Bay movie. It's got to be something that's special that not everybody can get or everybody can have.
This is worth $15 million.
That Corvette is one of the most amazing cars I've ever seen. So I have to say, out of all these cars, I'm taking the Corvette.
This is the 1959 Racing Stingray. It was the first Corvette ever called a Stingray. And it also has a little Hollywood history also, because Elvis Presley drove this car in the movie Clam Bake.
I want this one for my wall.
I like the muscle cars, and I like that, I think it was a '69 Riviera that was out in front of the theater.
Just beautiful, you know, all white, mint condition. One of those cars that you can't not walk over and look inside of.
I like the new Lamborghini. That's kind of a great car.
Turn it towards me now, turn it towards me.
That's like the cool car. A Lamborghini's a cool car, come on.
Ah, that's a good shot.
That Corvette.
There's a Bugatti.
And the Pagani.
This is the Pagani Huara. It's a one-of-a-kind, hand-built, Italian-made. It's very torturous to drive slow in this kind of car.
You know, I'm really not a car guy, I have to say. I'm not, but there were a couple cars there that were pretty incredible. The Bugatti and the Pagani. I mean, they're really amazing, beautiful works of art. Of course, they're all Italian.
That is a lyric ballad, an epic ode. And you've brought me a dirty limerick. That toxic clutch grinder wishes it was this car.
And then there's the old Bumblebee, the hiding Bumblebee. So at 67, we found one that was almost where we wanted it to be, and then we kind of finished it.
Bumblebee's gonna start going, wow, 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 wow. He's gonna spin his things. He's then gonna back up. He's gonna start throwing donuts in here.
You're dealing with very, very expensive cars on this. So the margin of error is you don't have any margin of error, because if you mess up, you're gonna go home.
Hey guys, let's not have be close to this $2 million car like this, okay?
You know, like?
Thank you. Can we move this car over 5 feet, please? This is expensive.
Responsible for the floor. And near some very expensive cars. That was a little intimidating.
Gotta get this curtain dropped here by Cassie to get the air. Background slightly walking, and now she come out on the street. And run into the street, and run.
This is a 2013 Chevy Sonic, which has been completely redesigned for the movie. The overall look of it looks like a modified Sonic. So if a kid took a Sonic and tore it apart and put their own panels and stuff on it, that's what it looks like. We've conferred with all the stunt guys from pretty much the beginning, and we've spec'd out everything that they require, they want, they need, making sure the cars, especially the stunt cars, are as safe as humanly possible. So what you're seeing here is a fully reinforced, fully caged vehicle. You can roll this car as many times as you want to, and it won't crush.
3, 2, 1, action! Go, Jack!
Get in the car, Daddy!
Come on, baby, get in the car, let's go!
Jack is, I think, born to be a race car driver. He has one speed, and it's fast.
Well, I was brought up watching Formula One. That's, you know, a big one for us at home. And I've been working with the stunt guys for 6 weeks, maybe. And I'm just driving as much as I can, just getting as much wheel time in as I can. So we started out with really basic stuff like cone slaloms. Now we're on to kind of like drifting and doing 180s and all that kind of thing. A lot of e-brake.
Basically, just get the feel of a rally car. You know, obviously on the day, we're gonna have a car with 700 horsepower, fully race competitive, you know, that level of a car.
It's gonna be all-wheel drive. Just like this Evo right here.
This is basically our beater car. He came here with some good fundamentals, and we're just giving him the time and the instruction he needs to take to the next level. So we're just teaching him how to shift, how to get back in control, dealing with uneven terrain, all of those things that he's got to be dealing with all at the same time. Alpha's having to be able to act while he's doing all these things, you know? He's got his mind going 3 or 4 different directions. So to me, it's just repetition. I can't say it enough.
All right, Jack, so here's the deal. So you're gonna come up hot first gear. When you get halfway to the cone, pull the e-brake, cut the wheel hard to the left. As soon as the car turns a 180, power back on it, steer towards your mark, come around to the side, and slide the opposite side 90 right to these cones. All right. All right, send it. Nice. Nice. Perfect. That's good right there. That's exactly what you want. He's a fast learner. It's not very often we get a chance to drive with somebody who can pick it up really fast. I mean, he drives just as fast, his reactions are just as fast, and his moves are just as crisp as like some of the top stunt guys I've worked with.
Here we go. Boom! Right by the boys. Wanna go again?
I love cars, and I always have, so to be able to get behind the wheel and to be drifting and actually throwing a car around is just so much fun.
The movie's very rural in Texas in the beginning as opposed to urban, you know, which is what we've spent most of the franchise inside of. So I think it's a nice taste of something different. It's a different look. you know, with the beautiful sunsets and all that in Texas. And it starts the movie out.